Welcome to the Hour of Empowerment. Today we are in Season 3 and Topic 3, Values. And we're going to have 4 episodes. The first episode discusses about what values are, the significance of having great values, and the benefit we may enjoy. And Episode 2 addresses some examples and case studies. And Episode 3 covers processes of value formation and also steps to create shared values. And Episode 4, interview. As it is our custom, let's summarize what we discussed last week. Last week, we concluded Topic 2, team building. And we talked about the importance of having teams, and the benefits we may enjoy when we have great teams, and the challenges of forming and leading teams. We also talked about process of team formation, the steps we need to take, and also leader and followers interaction. We had a wonderful interview with Gabe Hamda, CEO of ICAT Consulting. Today we're going to start a brand new topic, which is values. Before we proceed, let's define what value is. There are many definitions of value, but I'm going to give you 2 important definitions of value. The first one is the relative material and monetary worth of something. And the second definition is one's judgment of what is important in life. For this episode, we're going to take the second definition, which is one's judgment of what is important in life. Let me ask you, what are those important things in your life, in your organization and country? Whether we acknowledge them or not, there are values that govern our life, our organization, and our country. These are values for which we are committed. And these values filter our thoughts. And also they control our life, and they are on the driver's seat concerning our life and our organization. The most important question here is, what are those things you are committed to protect? Things you won't compromise. Things you may even give your life. Your worth is equivalent to what you value. People value based on what you value. Your greatness as an individual, organization, and nation is measured by how much value you give to those things that are valued universally. People flock to organizations and countries with great values. By the same token, people run away from countries and organizations which don't have great values. People run away not from the people. Values are the one persecuting people. Values, they hide behind people and institutions. The question to you is, what brought you away from home? Why you run away from your country or your organization? Why? For example, I can speak about why many of us Ethiopians run away from our country. One of the reasons is bad values. For example, the people in power, they promote division. They don't value an individual because individuals for them are biological. That's why they kill, jail, and torture people without any remorse. They promote corruption, favoritism, and also injustice. There is no rule of law. These and many values, therefore, embraced by the regime in Ethiopia, and they are the reason why many people run away from the country and never return back until these values are abandoned. Many innocent Ethiopians and colleagues from other cultures, they constantly ask me, why don't you go back and help your country and your people? Well, it is very difficult to explain everything, but how can you go back and live in a culture, in a country where they promote the values I mentioned earlier? Division, corruption, and treating individuals as if they are biological accidents. So myself and many people from that country, we're not running away from our country or from its people. It's very difficult for you to work in a country, live in a country, and also organization if the values that are promoted don't agree with yours. Even if you may be successful financially, life is not about money. There are things you value. Now let me ask you, what are your values? What are the values of your organization? What are the values of your country? And what are those values you share with your team? You should be able to know your values and the values that you share with your team, with members of your organization. Let me share with you some of the universal values: excellence, accountability, integrity, trustworthiness, loyalty, and so on and so forth. These are some of the universally accepted values. We defend our values, sometimes even without us knowing about them. We befriend with people or distance ourselves from some people based on what? Based on our own values. These people, for example, may not be that bad or may not be wrong people, but because of our values, we distance ourselves or we dislike some people. Nothing may be wrong about these people. For example, let me give you a good example. There are many people who despise the Kardashians, but there are millions of people watching their reality show. Likewise, there are lots of people who mock Justin Piper, but there are millions of fans who are listening to his music, dance with his songs. Let me give you another example very close to home. For example, let's take an iconic young singer. Millions of Ethiopians adore and love Teddy Afro. Not just for his awesome songs. His songs are great, but many people admire him because there are values coined within his songs. Not surprisingly, however, there are also many people who hate him, not because of the melodies of his songs, mainly because of the values reflected in his great songs. Therefore, we may hate people or love people. We may admire people or despise people. We may like people or we may not like people. But if we closely scrutinize it, the problem is values. There are values people share with us. We love these people. We admire them. We are their fans. And there are values we don't share with some people, and therefore we may despise them. We may dislike them. Let me surprise you. If you dig deep and study yourself and your spouse, you might have married your wife because, or your husband, you share common values that are very important to you. The same with your friends or the organization you are working with. The main reason is because you share common values. That's why you are friend with that person and working for that organization. And also, if you also study and understand, you have rejected friendships, partnerships, and opportunities mainly because they don't share common values with you. And at the same time, if you study and investigate, you are with that person, the person you love and respect, and the organization you are committed for, because of your values, not because of just the money or something material. You could have found a better person or a better organization, but because of the values you share, you stick with that person and organization. You share common values. Without values, distractions, divisions, and disorders are common in a family, in an organization, and also in a country. If you closely study, you could be able to understand that wars have been waged to promote or defend values. Many of us are slaves of our own values. Without our conscious awareness, there are some values, without much say, values that rule our life and also lead our organization and nation. What are these values? If we are not conscious, if we are not aware, there are values that are leading, that are controlling you and me without us even being aware. Therefore, that's why we need to be very careful in terms of knowing our values and also forming values that are very important for us and also for our organization. That's why we have chosen this topic. It's a very serious topic. We want to really discuss about values and their impact, their significance, and how can you form values, and also how can you create shared values within your organization, within your team. Knowing the importance of values is very important to succeed in life, and also if you want to change your life, your country, your organization, the first place to go is to understand the values. Because, believe me, there are values that are responsible where you are in life. Without identifying them and changing them, whatsoever money you invest, whatsoever time you invest to change yourself, to change your organization and your country, it's impossible. There are values that are dictating everything behind the scene. What are these values? Without addressing these values, changing them with productive values, it is impossible to change our life, our organization, and our country. Therefore, ISAT has prepared this topic for you to understand and know the impact of values. We chose this topic on purpose so that you may know your values, understand the impact of values, and form values that helps you advance in life. Here is a very powerful quote from Mahatma Gandhi. He said that your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits, and your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. I would like to repeat it because I want you to get the main message of this quotation from Mahatma Gandhi. Your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions, and your actions become your habits, and your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. Do you want to change your destiny, your organization's destiny, your country's destiny? Well, the starting point is understanding your beliefs, understanding your thoughts, understanding your words, your actions, and your values. Once we form values system, whether consciously or unconsciously, our value system rules our life. It dictates our decisions, our behaviors, and actions. Here is what Brian Tracy said. Just as your car runs more smoothly and requires less energy to go faster and farther, then the wheels are in perfect alignment. And you perform better when your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, goals, and values are in balance. Now you may ask, why should you worry about values? Why you need to figure out your values? What are the benefits of values? There are many benefits of values, but today I'd like to summarize 3 of these important benefits from values. The first one is clarity of choice. The second one is setting priorities and boundaries. The third one is values are pillars of our character. Now let's address clarity of choice. In this world, we have multitudes of choices. Don't we have? We have. The question is, how can we be clear? How can we really choose that are very important? But when we have values, it is easier to choose the right values for our life, for our family, and our organization. Here is what Walt Disney's brother said. He said that it is not hard to make decisions when you know what your values are. It is not hard to make decisions when you know what your values are. Do you know your values? Well, it's very easy for you to make decisions. You don't have values, you're not aware of them, then it's very difficult to make decisions. You become a person of indecision. Or whatever decision you make, they may not be the right decisions. He's right. Roy Disney is right. Because without values, we most probably are swayed by anything and by anyone. We can't have our own decisions. We can't stand firm and defend our decisions. But if we have values, what happens? We know our choices, the right choices. We back them. We defend them. We are like a ship without anchor whenever we don't have values. We are swung by little wind and so easily. Once you have values, however, it is easier to do or not to do, or say or not to say certain things. You know when to say yes, and you know when to say no. It's very difficult for many people to say no in the face. Why? Because they don't know their values or they're not aware. When you don't know your values, sometimes you are confused for which choices you should say yes and for which choices you should say no. That's why many people, they may say even yes in front of you, and when they are left, they are confused and they may disappear. They may not back what they said yes. They just disappear. But when you are a person of values, you know what to say yes, and once you say yes, you defend it. The second benefit of having great values is we can set priorities and boundaries. In this world, we don't have limitless resources. We have scarce resources, resources such as time, finance, and energy. And when we are conscious about our values, we know where to invest those scarce resources. Also, we know which lines we should not cross. Many times we cross lines we should have never crossed and pay prices. Why? Because we don't have boundaries. We don't know our boundaries. We don't protect our boundaries. We step out of our boundaries and we pay prices. But when you have values, what happens? You create your boundaries, you set your priorities, and you are effective and productive in your personal life and in your organizations. The third importance of values is values are pillars of our character. Character is the corner of our greatness and fulfillment in life. It is not knowledge or oratory or smartness that generates trust as you work with people, but your character. The starting place to develop a great character is first to identify the right ethical and moral values. Well, you may ask, what's going to happen if I just don't care about my values or universal values? Well, when you compromise your own values, there are prices you may pay. Some of the prices are expensive. Some of them may not be that much expensive. But there are prices you pay when you compromise your own values. But you can't really get away that much. But let's say you have a great value for time, but you compromise once in a while, and you may not respect your time or somebody's time. There are consequences. There are prices you pay. The price, however, is not that much expensive, but it is a price. For example, you offended someone by, becoming late. It is very difficult for you to earn the trust and respect of that person because you wasted that person's time. You compromised your value towards time. But there are very serious values that have consequences. In the case of time, well, that person may disrespect you, dishonor you, and it may take time for you to regain that person's trust and respect, but you can regain that. But let's say that you have compromised a very serious value. Let's say you compromised the value integrity as you deal with your clients, for example. What is integrity? Integrity is doing what you promise or giving what you promise to give or do whatever you say you're going to do. So let's say you compromised your integrity. You couldn't be able to really do what you promised to your clients. What happens? You lose your honor with your clients. They may reject you. They may go to somebody else to get that service and products, and you lose your respect and trust from that person. And of course, it takes you time and energy to regain back the trust you lost, the respect you lost. But if you, for example, compromise integrity at a higher level, well, there are lots of prices you may pay. As I said, if you, for example, compromised your promise, you couldn't be able to deliver it, fine. You may regain back your trust and honor by taking time and energy. But if you compromised integrity at a high level, you may even pay your life. You may even pay your fortune. So you need to be careful about your values, protect them, show commitment. Well, these are your values. You may not care about, who gonna be offended by you not respecting your values. But there are universal values. Whether you like it or not, there are prices when you compromise universal values. Values respected by your community. Values respected by your organization. Values respected by your culture. So you may pay monetary prices. You may lose your reputation. And also you lose opportunities. I want you to take time and enlist organizations that have lost millions of dollars because of compromising certain values. I want you to list down great leaders, heroes and heroines who lost their reputation because they compromised universal values. They were up there, respected by their communities, but because they compromised, because they violated certain universal values, they lost their reputation. They lost their honor. That should not happen to you. In conclusion, yes, values are very important, very powerful. They enslave us if we don't understand them, if we don't identify them, and unless we become proactive. Definitely they enslave us without our knowledge, without our consciousness. They may filter our thoughts, dictate our decisions, behaviors, and actions. If values are that much important, we should pay attention to the values that are dictating our life, our decisions, our actions, our behaviors. We need to sit down. We need to identify them, take time, reflect, think. Maybe even get some support, coaching, mentoring, and identify the values that are dictating you, your organization, and your country. Let's say you don't like some of them. You need to change them. But you need to identify the right and productive values to substitute them. In the coming 3 weeks, we're going to talk about how to do that. How do you identify, how do you form your value system? How do you create a shared value system within your organization? How do you align your team alongside your shared values? So we need to know the power of values and understand that it's not about the people. Many times we run away from organizations and countries which have bad values, not from the people, not from the organization. We are running away from the values that rule and that govern that particular country and organization. Therefore, if we want to change our lives, our organizations, and our countries, the starting place is to identify the values that are stopping us from progressing. We need to identify values that can help us progress and advance and achieve our dreams. And in the coming 3 weeks, we're going to talk about it. We're going to bring an interviewee and we're going to help you the story of that person. We're going to provide you examples, case studies, and processes. And we are sure that once your eyes are opened about the power of values, you won't be the same as an individual and organization. You're going to tap into great values, use the benefits that comes from having shared values, and achieve your dreams and meet your goals. Until I see you next week, have a wonderful time. Thank you very much for watching.